got a pilot. We got a professional here, Dan.
I know,
pilot
right?
in the house.
But from a geography standpoint, it makes no fucking sense.
No. And then
all right, I press.
Who said screw y'all? We don't subscribe to any of those.
The first words they get to hear is an F-bomb about meridians.
It's a time zone podcast tonight. We're just debating time zones.
We got all the time zones. All right, let's get this time zone going. I'm gonna get the intro rolling, and we're gonna rock this thing because we only got Muzio for he put a limit on us, so we gotta squeeze him. We gotta max.
We're at 1 hour and 26 minutes right now.
All right, shit, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Go district, you know the Pope listens. Dynasty, our religion, for the blokes missing. On all of these trades, on all of these plays, on all of these grades. By the end of the day, y'all getting played. So, what you gonna do next? Try to fill up that flex? Send the homie a text? That trash offer's the best? You try to make it complex, then they text you back. Now all of a sudden they don't make any sense. Broaden your horizons, boy. Dynasty's not for the Simons, boy. These trades not for consignment, boy. Respect your opponent, y'all some piranhas, boy. This my advice from me to you. Open up your cute little podcast queue. Search up GOAT District, my dude. Pop it in your ear, man. Y'all know what to do. It's the and I always be traded. And I always be traded. And I always be trading. Y'all try to betray them, but first you gotta bait them. Fish.
What is up, Fantasy Land? We are back in the district, and it's that time of year, man. The fever, it's hot. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but it's hot. You're in rookie drafts. That rookie fever is at max point right now. And I don't know if you guys noticed, I got Spider-Man on, right? You know Spider-Man, he's got spidey senses. He shoots his webs, right? He's going from building to building. If he hooks onto the wrong building or the wrong thing, he's going down, right? It's just like us in these rookie drafts. We've got to use our spidey senses. The research we've done, obviously we've been bringing the monster guests to give you guys all the help you need. And tonight is no different. I'm with my boys. I got my man, Dan, right beside me. Dan, how are you? At Overhyped Sleeper, no E on the end, looking slick with the purples tonight, brother.
Well, yeah, I had to pull out the old Vikings shirt, just because since we had the draft and everything, little bit of football time. For the wardrobe, even though mostly it just happens in the fall. You got to pull it out just around the NFL draft time.
Shout out to Wheeler. He's trying to get my 211 in one of in the OG GOAT rookie draft. And shout out to you guys. If you're in the chat, make sure you drop the questions tonight. We want to squeeze Billy and his knowledge. Like Theo said in our own DM, he's, if not the hardest guy in fantasy. And Theo, you know what? We'll let you intro our guest tonight. I mean, he's back on the show. He's a friend of the show, but he's got to get the creds, man. Give him the creds he deserves. Bring him in and let's get this thing started.
So Billy is not only a friend of the show, but he's a friend of ours. Really a great fantasy player and also a great fantasy analyst. He is the senior high stakes analyst at Full Time Fantasy. And a couple weeks back, we wanted somebody to give us draft reactions. So Billy was the one I reached out to because I know that he's going to be quick with being able to not only adjust his rankings, but adjust maybe his priors on guys and kind of move forward. And Billy is also able to wear a Dynasty hat and a redraft hat. So it's kind of nice to look at things from both perspectives. So welcome back to the Ghost District, Billy. We're happy to have you back. And how are you doing? How are you feeling?
Thanks for the introduction. I'm doing better. Thanks for rescheduling. It came down with a fever over the weekend and through Monday. So appreciate your guys' flexibility. Hence the name Rookie Fever, right? We're going to carry
fresh
that over.
off a fever and bring in the fever, right, Billy?
Yeah, we're gonna keep it hot now with the rookie analytics, and we're gonna jump into not only Dynasty but redraft. There's a lot of talk tonight, so looking forward to it. This is the first time I'll actually be talking with anyone else in regards to the moves I've done with my rookie rankings and what I'm looking at for my in-season rankings. So there's been a lot of movement. I'm still moving people daily as I'm kind of going deeper and deeper and deeper down the list and looking at UDFAs and looking at, drops and whatever it may be. There's things that you're always tweaking your rankings. And I made sure to go through those again today for the show, and I'm ready to talk about them.
Awesome.
Oh, sorry, Theo. I was just gonna say. I mean, it's like I said, we're all starting these rookie drafts right now, right? Or we're doing best balls where you're trying to plan, especially in the later rounds, which ones you might try to get production this year. So we're gonna touch on all of that tonight. Let's start macro, Dan. Maybe you throw out the first question to Billy, and go. I got to get that in a sound effect.
Yeah. What's an all guys chat? We just grunt at each other. I mean, that's really all that's necessary. Yes. So Billy, what were your overall thoughts on the draft? Big picture, did it go kind of like you thought it would, more or less wide receivers in the first round, more or less running backs on day 1 and day 2. What were your overall thoughts?
Yeah, I entered the huddle report, the mock draft competition, and I had 27 of correct picks in round, or I should say 27 correct players in round 1. The order was just all the way off. This was just one of the toughest years to project a landing spot for a lot of these teams. There was just so many different ways that the first 5, let alone first 3 picks could have gone that would have just drastically change the draft. So, I had I adjusted my rankings, or my draft, I should say, my draft board on Wednesday instead of playing golf, I would have had the first 5 right, which probably would have led me to get the rest of them right, but I chose to play golf instead. And I submitted mine on Tuesday night and then went and played golf and said, I'm not going to check everything and get all mad about my rankings. And that was a mistake, but at the end of the day, I had more fun and still had 27 players right. So it went as expected. I think, the topic of the draft was how many wide receivers are we going to see go in round 1. And I think that that number was pretty heavy, and we saw, honestly, probably one less than I anticipated going in round 1. But I do think it was pretty standard, or I should say pretty typical of what my thoughts were going to be. We were going to see a lot of defensive players go, a lot of offensive line players go, and a lot of wide receivers go. And then quarterbacks for me were just going to be pushed down the board because it was a pretty weak quarterback class. And I did not expect a running back to go round 1. The only one I had any kind of chance of going round 1 was going to be Breece Hall, and the only landing spot I had even pegged him to possibly go was going to be Buffalo, and it did not happen. So wide receivers were the talk of the draft. So I think that was as expected.
Do you think, and Billy, I'm the one who throws in the questions that are not on the show sheet, just FYI.
That's great.
No, I'm just wondering, because of the way this draft class is kind of turned out, where the landing spots arrives, like you talked about the weaker QB, do you think people are going to make moves or make aggressive moves, or maybe overvalue? I guess what I'm saying is, do you think a lot of these guys are going to get overvalued because of the relative choices that you have? Because if you desperately want a quarterback in a super flex, you got to take a guy uncomfortably, versus where he's going maybe in ADP to get him, or, you know what I mean? Do you think guys are going to make aggressive moves to get what they think they need, but in the end, just because of where we are with this class, maybe we're overshooting with regards to the values? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, we look at prior to the draft, Malik Willis was like the 101 in super flex leagues, and looking back in hindsight, for those who drafted prior to the draft, that's a mistake, right? And I thought it was always a little high. Breece Hall was always my 101, and I had a few wide receivers ahead of him. I just wasn't high on the rookie quarterback class. That being said, I think Willis was the only one I was really, really willing to take a chance on because of the rushing upside, and I just like his character as well. But if it's me and you, if you are in a desperate situation in a super flex, dynasty draft or whatever it may be, I'm going after somebody like Davis Mills, throwing a pick for somebody who has Davis Mills, because
trading out,
they're probably going to be likely to get rid of him for something cheaper than a round 1, right? And you could probably package something cheap for him. You can go after someone like Goff. You can get all sorts of, different packages that you'd be able to throw together to acquire somebody that's going to be able to get you through 2022.
Okay. I like that.
Yep. Totally makes sense.
So, did anybody else have any big picture takeaways from the draft? I mean, for me, it was the wide receiver position is kind of here to stay. We had six go in the first round. We could have seen 8 go in the first round. Last year, we had 5 go in the first round, and then Kyle Pitts went, where he went, so we could, kind of treat him as a wide receiver. And then we see all these contracts guys are getting in the offseason. So it seems like the wide receiver position has just become, such a focal point for NFL teams right now, and they're looking to build it in the draft with these rookie contracts.
And you're also seeing different flavors, right, Theo? That's what I find interesting. You got the Colts going one direction, and then you got, each team is picking their favorite flavors, so it's giving a good variety as well as the depth.
For sure.
Theo, what are your thoughts? Or Theo, I'm looking at Billy and I'm saying Theo. Billy, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, Theo and I have the same hair. It's pretty easy to confuse us. Sorry. What was the question?
We're just talking about, do you think that the prioritizing the wide receiver position is here to stay? Combining all the big moves we saw in trades, contracts guys are getting, and then draft capital you've seen in back-to-back drafts at the wide receiver position. Do you think that this is a kind of a changing of the guard, and this is something we're going to see continually?
No, I think it's going to vary class by class and strength by strength. I think the NFL is going to deem what is most important to their teams and their clubs, and they're going to make adjustments, and then fantasy manager will kind of follow suit, right? If Breece Hall had gone 105 overall, which is wouldn't have happened, but if he did, if someone was that team was that dumb to do it, fantasy managers would have reacted as well. So I think that draft capital has a lot to do with the landscape of fantasy, right? That's why some players always get overdrafted, because draft capital is spent on a player and it shoots them up people's boards. I'm a big believer in talent over draft capital. Right? You look back at the classic debate of Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Jonathan Taylor, right? And that's I would like to present evidence as 101, right? Or evidence A. I'm not a lawyer, I don't know how to say it.
Exhibit A.
Thank you. Exhibit A.
I've been watching the Johnny Depp stuff. You know what I mean? So, how can you not, man? Come on.
Enter Exhibit A here. Everyone had Jonathan Taylor top of their board, and then what happened? The Chiefs drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the first round, and he shot up draft boards. He was being overdrafted, and Jonathan Taylor, slipped a bit because where he landed in the draft. And had you stuck to your guns and gone with the talent, you'd be owning Jonathan Taylor right now on your dynasty team and not Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So there's, prime examples like that just follow suit year after year in the NFL. And we see it happen in the same landscape in fantasy land as well.
What about the other way, guys? What about, because I'm seeing it right now where guys that were taken in the 5th round in the draft are going ahead of, 2nd round draft capital or better draft capital. So what about the other way where situation is maybe overpowering other factors that we're weighing in on? Dan, what do you think?
Yeah, there's kind of a disconnect between wide receiver and running back, and you have to really apply 2 different scales to it. And, you just have to look at, okay, not only, where, what round were they drafted in, because with the running backs, they've been slipping later and later in the draft. So, what used to be, like a round 4 running back right now, probably 5 years ago would have been round 3, maybe even round 2.
That's a good point.
So they kind of slide backwards, and you really have to just analyze the talent, like what Billy was talking about, and just recognize that the running back position is going to get pushed down. The wide receiver position has been kind of pushed up a little bit. And, you have to have your own decision point of, do I take that 2nd round wide receiver or that 4th round running back? Because they might, be relatively equal as far as like what they can do for your fantasy team in coming years. So, it's just kind of assessing the landing spot and what their talent is and, all that put together, if that makes any sense.
Totally.
I think it's also very like format driven too, right? Like if you're in a start 3 wide receiver dynasty league, wide receivers are going to get pushed up the board and running backs are going to drop. Or if you're in a start 2 running back and start 2 wide receiver league, it's going to be vice versa. You're going to see wide receivers fall down, or somebody who's going to be maybe a 2nd or 3rd round talent might slip in a rookie draft because the running back has a bit more of importance in fantasy scoring. So there's so many different variables that, to answer that question. I just don't think it's a black and white answer, but there is, you can give guidelines and Dan had some good examples. I think I had some good examples, but there's just so many different ways that you have to analyze that in order to make that call, I think.
I just think with the running backs, I think there's kind of two frames of thought. I think that in some rookie drafts, people are going to have the Trey Sermon lesson where a guy got pushed up. There was the hype train, reached a fever pitch, except for Dan, who managed to flip Trey Sermon for like 3 first-round picks somehow. But most normal fantasy players are still feeling that in their guts. So maybe a lower draft capital guy maybe is a little more of a value this year. In certain drafts, I think, like a guy like Damian Pierce might be up and down the board in several different rookie drafts. I think like his value might be different league to league. But I think that my takeaway is if you're going to take a rookie that doesn't have great draft capital, it's the Michael Carter lesson. And the James Robinson, was not a draft capital guy, but, dynasty players, some players did not cash out after that rookie year. NFL teams just don't have the sort of loyalty to these guys that don't have the draft capital at the running back position, and they're going to look to improve. So if you do take an Algier, or if you take name your guy here, Pierce,
Zamir
White, doesn't matter. Anybody who you're betting on from these later rounds, you almost treat it like what is he going to give you this year? I'm looking for instant production from him, almost treating him like a high-end handcuff that you keep on the back of your roster that might turn into a lottery ticket rather than a guy that, I think is going to build value every single year of his NFL career. Because Michael Carter really did hurt a lot of people this year. And it wasn't based on how he played. It was based on they saw a chance to improve their roster. We should have seen it coming as dynasty players. Back-to-back years, we get lessons with this. It's like Elijah Mitchell right now. I love Elijah Mitchell. I think Elijah Mitchell is set to have a very, very good season. But then the 49ers go out and take another back. So if I was a glass half empty guy, I'd be maybe fielding calls to try to cash out on Elijah Mitchell in my rookie draft. So I don't know. The running back position is just a funny one for these lower draft capital guys.
Yeah.
That's because Trey Sermon sucks.
San Fran boy there.
This is true. True.
And Wilson isn't the poster child of health, right? Like that's a pure, to me, that's a pure like depth signing as well as upside. The kid can run, but he's not going to supplant Mitchell after last year. Like they fully committed to him. Like that is 100%. Mitchell is still there. Trey Sermon sucks. Let's try to fix our mistake from last year and have another back on this team that's not named Wilson or Kyle Juszczyk.
And that is probably the correct takeaway. And I'm a big Elijah Mitchell guy. It's just in the back of your mind with the draft capital thing, it just kind of weighs on you as a dynasty player. You just never feel safe with
Shanahan.
those guys.
Yeah.
I've talked about that on here, just the nature of the running back position in that offense, right? How they wear down and they're going to get hurt and they're going to cycle through. So you want to add depth, and as them managing the roster, they're adding depth every year. It's kind of like Pittsburgh adding that 2nd round receiver, right? They just keep cycling him in, and then you know what? Maybe we don't have to pay the guy when he needs big money, right?
Yeah,
for sure.
Exactly that.
All right, let's get into Billy's moving values with these rookies. Theo, what are we starting at? Top what?
What players moved up in your rankings based on landing spots? Maybe you could touch on some of the guys inside the top 10 rookie, the big name rookies first of all.
Yeah, I it starts for me with Burks. Like I wasn't crazy high on Burks. Like a lot of people had him as their 101. Or as the best wide receiver in this class. He was good in college, but I didn't love his tape. I didn't fall in love with it. And watching that, like I I had him relatively low compared to a lot of analysts. I had him at 8 prior to the draft, and after the landing spot, I moved to 2, right? Only behind Breece Hall. And you look at it and you ask, well, why? Why did you move him up that high if you don't like his tape? And he steps into an immediate wide receiver role, wide receiver 1 role, I should say. No competition. Tennessee has the second most vacated targets in the league with 336. 64% of their team's target share is available right now on this team from new faces landing in Tennessee. And, in my opinion, like, you really, really have to suck in order for, that not to pan out. The amount of targets he's going to get peppered with. Bob Woods is probably going to start the season, limited or on the pup. So there's just so many factors here that, like, the stars have aligned for him to have a monstrous rookie season just purely due to volume. Whether I like his tape or don't like his tape, the opportunity is there. And I just posted that article or short, piece about opportunity being king and vacated targets. And I mean, it's top of the list. Tennessee is top of the list. It's only behind Kansas City in terms of vacated targets. And when you have that type of opportunity, like, I can't help but move somebody up a board. So Burks to me was the one who made the biggest jump inside the top 10. And then Drake London went from 4 to 3. Again, it's an opportunity base, right? He steps into an X receiver role for the Falcons with Pitts, running on his side. No Calvin Ridley for the year. They have the 5th most vacated targets with 238. 43% of their target share is available right now in the field. So I like London quite a bit. Walker moved down just on the landing spot. I'm just not crazy about Seattle and Pete Carroll and, what they do to running backs and how they use them. And I mean, they drafted Penny in the first round. And what do you say?
Burks on the block of 6 first. Wheeler's always trying to negotiate deals in our chat. Yes. DM in our chat.
So they drafted, Penny in round 1 and they didn't even play him. So what makes you think that Walker's going to supplant Penny? And after the season ending run that Penny had, it's going to be hard to not play him from Pete Carroll's standpoint, because Penny was arguably the hottest running back down the stretch. So Walker definitely moved down my board for landing spot. And then James Cook moved into the top 10 for me based upon his landing spot. I'm not crazy about it, but again, it's a pass catching role, change of pace role, and one of the best offenses in the league. I'm not crazy about his tape, but the landing spot itself bumps him up slightly for me, just enough to get into the top 10.
Theo, let's squeeze a quick question from the chat here. I know we're talking tight ends. There's not too many tight ends to talk about in this draft, but Wheeler's wondering with Trey McBride, difference in fantasy value between him and the other tight ends. What does McBride rank versus the veterans?
Is that to me first, you said?
Yeah, sorry, Billy. Yeah.
Versus the veterans?
Yeah, like, I guess he wants to know where McBride ranks versus the other players currently, at the tight end position that are in the NFL.
So we're talking redraft?
I think if I'm reading this question correctly, Wheeler's saying, where does Trey McBride land on Dynasty rankings? Is that what I'm
startup rankings?
Yes.
Yeah, like if you see a top 15 starter,
where does he rank
for you? Or top
easy way.
Where for you, Billy's? Where would you have him? Ballpark.
Thanks for the translation, Theo.
That's
I speak fluent Wheeler.
I can pull my rankings up. 1 second.
Yeah, no problem. Dan, do you have any thoughts on McBride? I know Theo loves the rookie tight ends. He gets me excited. Even me and rookie tight ends, even gets me excited by the end of the offseason. But where are you, Dan, with McBride?
Yeah, I like the talent. I like the landing spot. I have not done overall dynasty rankings, so it's a little bit tougher to say where I'd put him against the veterans. But I thought his landing spot was one of the better ones.
Oh yeah.
And then there was also Jelani Woods had a pretty nice landing spot with Indiana. Dulcich kind of got burned by having to go to Denver and compete with Albert O. So McBride, he's like a full round above Woods and Dulcich for me. As far as rookie drafts, as far as NFL talent, I guess I would put Mcbride. Probably I would rank him somewhere around 16 to 19, somewhere in there.
Like a mid tight end too.
Yeah, mid tight end too right now.
I might have Mcbride a little higher than Dan. I think I might have him like a little bit more like an early second round pick. I like the landing spot a lot, and I think with the DeAndre Hopkins suspension, I think you could see them using Ertz and Mcbride together early on. So I like the landing spot. I think that some people are not going to like the fact that Ertz is there, but at the end of the day, it's the NFL. Talent wins out eventually. And Mcbride just got attached to a very good quarterback in an offense that's above average. So we can't be disappointed in that. I think if you're an FFPC player and you're on the clock and maybe you're strong at the wide receiver position, I would consider Mcbride as early as like the 201. I think that's about right for him.
Yeah. To clarify, I was talking about like overall against all tight ends, rookie or not.
I apologize.
Yeah.
I apologize, Dan.
I have him at the 112 for Dynasty.
So I just pulled up my tight end rankings for Dynasty against all tight ends as tight end 16. He's one spot above Hunter Henry.
There you go.
I'll give a quick OT. Quick on the clock. Cole Kmet with the Bears or Trey McBride with the Cardinals. Now that we're in the landing spot.
Kmet.
I'll always go proven first.
Irv Smith versus Trey McBride.
Irv Smith.
Right.
Oh, yeah, that's closer. You know what? I was a big Irv Smith guy, and Dan, I don't know if you and I have been drinking the same water, but we both went from like wanting him everywhere to like, let's get rid of Irv as much as we can. I don't know why. I might lean McBride. I really like the landing spot. I mean, in that offense, what's going on, I think there's great opportunity there. I'm not a big rookie tight end guy, but the thing is, Irv hasn't proved it yet either. And that's why here I'm more on the fence versus Kmet, who's shown us something.
Last OTC, Albert O with Dulcich landing there versus Trey McBride.
Oh, easily Albert. I'm
Albert
huge on Alberto this year.
Yeah, I'm have Alberto too.
Yeah, Dulcich doesn't really move the needle for me this year. I think he might cause problems later, but for this year, I don't think he will. And I think if you can get Alberto cheap because somebody's worried about Dulcich, probably, if you're that worried about Dulcich, you could probably flip him in the middle of the year and make a profit there.
Oh, he flashed last year and Fant was there right ahead of him. So
yeah.
he's attracting targets somehow.
Like for me, I'm having trouble with like Trey McBride and Evan Ingram for me. I have him pretty close.
Yeah, there you go.
And I don't know if I'm just an Evan Ingram homer and he just hasn't really hit like I thought he was going to hit, but like I still have them. I have McBride one spot above Evan Ingram or two spot above Evan Ingram. Hunter Henry's in between them, but that's kind of that same tier for me.
I like Ingram. Right now. It's tight end position, right? These guys, some of these guys are going to take time. They might need to be in a different offense. And Ingram, I mean, that guy had talent, right? Coming out and we've seen flashes. So if he stays healthy, there's opportunity there. I like it.
I just wanted to go back to one thing Billy was talking about with your Burks in London and Walker stuff makes sense. But one guy I wanted to also get Dan's opinion on JD's. Can you elaborate on James Cook? Is this a guy like you want exposure to as a dynasty manager, or is it? Elaborate a little bit more on the landing spot and kind of where you're at with him.
I'm not as high on Cook. I see him as like more like Nyheim Hines than anything else.
That's a great. Yeah, I like that.
And and I don't mean Nyheim Hines with Phillip Rivers. I mean Nyheim Hines with with Jacoby Brissett or with Carson Wentz, which was not nearly as good. The Rivers version of Nyheim Hines was not bad. But, I just don't see enough passes going to the running back in the Buffalo offense. If they truly do split him out wide and use him more as a semi-wide receiver, then I can maybe get a little bit more behind him. But then, the wide receiver depth chart is also pretty stacked. So, I just have a hard time figuring out where he's going to get, a ton of targets. I think Singletary is probably the better runner of the two. And, that's not to say that Cook isn't going to get some carries, but it's just kind of like I just have a hard time figuring how he's going to get just a ton of volume that matters for fantasy.
Cook is Andre Ellington 2.0.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
The argument I heard about against what you just said, Dan, is that they want Allen. They want to start training him basically to dump it off a bit more so that he's not getting smashed at the goal line as often. You know what I mean?
And you know what? Adrian Peterson was also going to catch passes every year too. I mean, not to cut you off, but I mean,
no, you're right. You're right.
They're always talking about, it'd be really nice if we could do this. But when you're working against a player's strengths, I have a hard time imagining that they're going to, just totally change your spots.
He went off the board at the 109 and shout out to the Dynasty Depot. We're in the Dynasty Depot Masters League. It's an FFPC league, and we started our rookie draft early. He went off the 109 in our draft. Dan, do you think that that's about where he's going to settle in for FFPC and Billy as well, or you think he's going to kind of move up and down the board?
I think he's going between 9 and 12 in FFPC drafts, rookie drafts. I think that's probably about his range. I don't have a ton of interest there. If he drops into the early second, then I do. And part of that is just because this was such a weak running back class. If you put him in the last 5 classes and just lump all those guys together, he falls pretty far down there for me.
And that was my question from before, right? To Billy was exactly that. Because he went 110 in the OG, and that's where these guys are going. So you almost have to take these running backs one round ahead. Sorry, Billy.
Yeah, I mean, he is my 10th ranked this, but I'm not going to own any. I won't buy him at that price.
There you go.
That's where I'm expecting him to go. I agree. This is a weak class, but there's other backs that intrigue me that you can get in rounds 3 and 4 that have equal opportunity that I would much rather have and invest little to nothing in and take the upside with a wide receiver, or if I'm desperate, a tight end or whatever it may be.
Running back is tough this year. Running back has always been my favorite target in rookie drafts. That's how I built my rosters. I soup up the other positions in trades, get proven guys, and I draft rookies. And this year is tough, man, because, we're talking about guys like Algier and, 5th round, 4th round draft capital. You got to take these guys in the 2nd round, mid-2nd round if you want them.
Dude,
from
there's
the
some
drafts
sneaky,
I'm in.
There's some sneaky good ones, though. There really are.
Yeah. And we are not talking about the last one on your list of the big jumpers. We're not going to mention that name.
We'll have that. We'll have a little omerta on that name. There you go.
I've been embargoing that name.
Not a lot of people have that name on their sheets.
I know.
Don't say his
I
name.
saw him out there. I was like, no, Billy, no.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Don't say it. Don't say it.
Can I sing a song?
It would have been like mentioning Jared Dokes too early before rookie drafts last year. I want to have full exposure to a guy before we mention his name.
Yes.
Maybe you could talk about some of your risers a little lower down the board, particularly Wandell Robinson.
Yeah, I liked Wandell. I was a little higher than some on him, but I wasn't like extraordinary high on him just because of his size, but with his landing spot and how the coach utilizes small receivers, has a history of utilizing small receivers. I really like the spot as well. We talked about draft capital, and you have to kind of take a look at what team spent on the player and what their plan is to utilize them. You got to look at opportunity, and you got to look at target shares, and you got to look at, injured players. There's just so many different things that you have to consider when you're analyzing a player and trying to estimate, number one, what their ADP, should be, or 2, what you're willing to spend on them. Because those are 2 different things, in my opinion, but that being said, Wandell Robinson moved up 5 spots on my board just because of where he landed and the opportunity that's available to him. And I love how he's utilized in packages as a hybrid player, right? He's able to be used as, he was a hybrid running back coming out of high school. And so he has the ability to run the ball, has the ability to catch the ball. It just reminds me of like a small version of Debo is what it is, right? He's just this lightning fast player that's explosive and can just seep through creases. And so I think, the new coach here, I think that he's going to be utilized in a great way. And then you have the next one for me, and I love this kid, Romeo Dubes. Like, I was talking about him all the time on Twitter, and I would not be surprised if he actually outscored Watson in his rookie year. And
Yes.
and I mean, this kid returns punts. Like, he's going to see the field because he can play special teams as well. And I really like his skill set. I fell in love with his tape. I remember I was like 1 a.m. and I texted Dave, and like a madman, he responded at 3 a.m. his time. And I was like, you know who I really like is is Romeo Dubes. Like, this kid's a stud. I'm going to start taking him in round 20 of every single draft. And it was like towards the tail end of these early drafts. And I just started taking him all the time, hoping that he would get drafted by a team that we liked. And when I saw him selected by the Packers, I was like leaping for joy because landing spot, there's going to be some available targets, of course. He's going to be linked to a pretty damn good quarterback. He's going to be able to beat out a lot of competition. So I think that Romeo Dubes should be able to see the field quite a bit here in 2022 and probably has a lot of room to grow in Dynasty.
Yeah,
Where would you be comfortable taking him in a rookie draft, Dubes?
So I've done 2 rookie drafts already. One before the draft, I got him at the end of round 4. I do not expect that to happen again. I'm in another one that's a slow draft. I was going to wait to try to take him at the end of 2, the beginning of 3 round, around there, because I have a late second and an early third pick, kind of gauge it out to see what's happening to the board. But I think that's about where he'll fall, unless people, get high on him. But I'm going to say you could probably get him probably in the middle, into second to early third, depending upon your league and the format. But I mean, I have no problem taking him in the second round.
Nothing, and guys, nothing wrong with getting high on Dubes, right? Just saying.
A big fat Dubes. I think it's kind of an interesting, I love the Dubes call, and I think that it's kind of like a few summers back we had the Brian Edwards, Henry Ruggs situation where they were both drafted. Ruggs goes 2 rounds earlier, but then over the summer you got kind of the hype, and at the end of the summer, the Brian Edwards hype train was going, and he was moving up redraft as well. So it's kind of, I think you could see that with Dubes, especially because it's just so barren in the Green Bay wide receiver room. And I love your call on Wandell Robinson. I think that the fact that the Giants took him ahead of Pickens, ahead of Sky Moore, he's also like a high character, like team guy. They're super excited to get him in New York. It's a new coaching staff. I think it's super interesting. I mean, he's very, very short. So I think that, you might get a huge discount in rookie drafts, but it's not out of the question that he sees a lot of targets as a rookie. And you see more and more of these NFL teams just taking smaller wide receivers back-to-back drafts now. We saw Dotson go in the first round where he went. He's like 175 pounds. And then we have, Wandell going early second. And then last year we had, Rondell, we had Tutu Atwell. So I feel like NFL teams are just, the wide receiver position is just shrinking on a lot of these teams, profiles of guys. It's just kind of crazy. But I'm not betting against Wandell. The guy, he's a baller.
He really is.
Yeah, for sure. And shall we say, shots fired across, Kadarius Toney. The Giants are saying all the nice things about Kadarius Toney, but, he got the playbook, all that kind of stuff. But as soon as they had an opportunity to take somebody with a similar skill set, they went right ahead and did that. So that tells you something a little bit there. And as Theo was saying, Wandale is kind of a high character guy, whereas Toney, you just question his commitment to the game in a lot of ways. So absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a really good way to look at it.
Quick OTC for you guys before the first plug of the day here. Wandell Robinson, Billy, or Jalen Tolbert. Oh, I love when I get that.
What's the format?
This one was a 1 QB, just regular PPR. Start 2 and 2.
I'm gonna say Wandell because I like the hybrid role, but that's close. I think I have them in the same tier. There's a tier question on this sheet. I think they're in the same tier.
Yeah, but I think it's actually Wheeler that took Tolbert. He did actually. He took Tolbert 2 spots or 3 spots ahead of Wandell Robinson at 205, and then Robinson went at 208.
I just looked at the tier in order. That tier is Dubes, Wandell, Tolbert. So, yeah, I picked
Interesting.
Wandell.
Nice. Nice. You guys have anything different, Dan, Theo?
No, I've got Wandell just a little bit higher, but same tier.
Yeah, I think it's about the same for me. I'll go Wandell because of draft capital and less competition for targets. But Tolbert landed great.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to think that the Cowboys added James Washington, right? Who's better than people think. And they still have Gallup coming back. They've re-signed Schultz. They're going to use Tony Pollard out of the slot probably more this year. Like, there's just a lot more competition there for targets. So good call, Theo, on the targets.
Talk to us about your
Theo, before we go to the next one, we got to give a quick plug to our friends at the FFPC. You guys know how it's like that, that hot club in the summer is right now. MyFFPC.com. You want to ball, you want to play best ball, you want to play for $1 million? $1 million, man, for real. You play fantasy, you win $1 million. Right now, the grand prize is $1 million. The main event, MyFFPC.com. Go check it out. Best balls. You can win 200 grand with a best ball right now. Is it a 125 or 100? I haven't done one of these yet. I only did the 125s. Is it still 125, guys? Remind me.
Yep. Yeah.
125. Yep.
125 buy-in, 200 grand to first Dynasty startups. Guys, there's a 250 Triflex. Come on. RotoViz. I've been sitting in there. We got a couple people. Let's fill that baby up, man. I want to draft a startup. And then we've got for sure the Football Guys Players Championship. You guys know it. You love it. 500 Geno's grand prize. You get an early bird special right now with a $35 credit if you get 3. MyFFPC.com. Tag us if you're not already on there. We'll hook you up with a sign-up bonus. Sorry, Theo. Go ahead.
There has to be a few people listening to the show right now that want to compete against JD. Please sign up for this 250 Triflex. JD's been trying to get this to fill for a couple of weeks
while.
now. And, yeah. Billy, talk to us about 2 particular running backs, Damian Pierce and then Tyler Batty.
I like them both. Batty's another sneaky one, right? Like, he's going so late in rookie drafts, but he steps into a opportunity that people are, underestimating how many vacated carries are there right now. Both the running backs that are coming back are coming off major injury. You have, the running backs that were there last year are no longer on the roster. So it's a very unique situation depending upon health and what's going to happen with Gus Edwards. Excuse me. With the rest of the running back core there, because Batty's a pretty damn good running back and he could supplant Edwards pretty quickly and could find himself in the mix for a starting role, or at least sprinkled in earlier rather than later. So for someone who's going as late as he is in rookie drafts, why not throw the dart there? And then Pierce, I like Pierce. I think a lot. The opportunity. It's Houston, right? And you look at it as a running back landing in Houston, and what type of opportunities he going to run into a team that is just flooded with a bunch of Jags, and is he going to be able to? Are they going to throw him into the mix right away? If they do, what does that look like? They're going to be playing from behind. How much 1 down 2 work is he really going to take? Rex Burkhead probably mixes in on 3rd downs. You still have Marlon Mack there, who I think personally wins the job. So I like Damon Pierce, but I'm not going crazy on it. But he's just, one of those players that is going to go like this all year, I think, in drafts because of the news. Like, you already saw them come out and saying that he has to earn his spot in this running back competition. And so I think as you continue to see camp news kind of up and down, his ADP is going to do the same. And then the last one, I'll let you guys name since you don't want me to name him on the show.
I'm not even going to do it because I don't want Dan to be upset. How about we talk about this name next week, Dan? We can do after the rookie draft start. We can let Dan talk about him for like a couple of minutes.
We can have Jake just start rapping right now and sing a song.
Nice. No more hits. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Dan. No, go ahead. If you have any more on the running backs, let's hit that real quick.
Batty, I'll say that Pierce, a lot of people are talking about, but Batty's super interesting. I'm glad Billy brought him up in the show sheet. And there's a couple of Baltimore beat writers who have thrown out the name Ray Rice in terms of just his profile. He's like that shorter 200-pound guy who catch the ball as well. So they're excited about him in Baltimore, despite him being a lower draft capital guy.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like a Duke Johnson, a Giovanni Bernard type of back, right? And I think that's almost exactly what the Ravens need, especially after losing a lot of targets with giving up Marquise Brown. So we're going to see a completely new look offense this year. I mean, of course, it's going to be funneled through, the tight end, but we're going to see a lot different approaches from the backfield. It's not just going to, I mean, they're going to be one of the most run heavy teams in the NFL, like they always are, but they're probably going to be a little bit more dump offs as well.
Yeah. I traded away J.K. Dobbins in one of my leagues, and that was before the Hollywood news hit. And I definitely had a little bit of seller's remorse on that one. Because I do think that Dobbins can catch the ball. He's smooth. If he's all the way back from that injury, I think that's going to be a solid pick for sure.
Yeah, you just wonder, like, it's the key of how healthy is he, right? And are they going to throw him into it? Are they going to be able to get him back week one? The answer is probably yes, because he was injured pretty early on. And so I think that he's going to be able to come back pretty quickly. But then the next question is, well, how much workload do they want to give him coming off an injury? And do they want to continue to just feed him the ball? They run the ball about 500 times a year, right? So there's going to be other backs in the mix as well. So this is a two-headed committee at the very least. Probably see a 3-man rotation at times, including Lamar running the ball as well. So there's so much opportunity to go around this backfield that, Batty has to be in the consideration.
Yeah, and that was part of my my theory behind trading J.K. Dobbins, was just to try to avoid that diluted workload. And of course, who I traded him for, I traded Dobbins in the 110 for A.J. Brown, who also got traded on draft night. So
the Grim Reaper of trades.
Dan jinxed it. Dan jinxed them both. We got a question on the screen, guys. We got to give love to the chat. FFQ later, in the draft done so far for best ball, what vets second year and on wide receiver RB have you seen that are dropping, where value screams at you because everyone loves rookies? I don't have my reading glasses on, guys. Sorry, I can barely see this. So basically asking vets and second year receivers and RBs that you see falling right now in best ball drafts.
Does it have to be second year? I'm going to cheat and say vets.
Yeah,
go ahead.
There you go.
Just values that you're seeing.
Like Rashad Penny right now is a prime example, right? Mm-hmm. He's like where he finished the year. I thought he was going to be drafted in like the running back dead zone, that like 4 to 5, 6 range. And like he's being drafted in like rounds 8 and 9 right now. It's just crazy. And the finish that he had down the stretch, I said earlier, it was astronomical. Like he was on pace. Like had that been his season long pace, he might have finished as the running back 1. Like that's how good he was down the stretch. And you add in Walker, who's a dynamic back, probably the best pure runner in this draft class, but he's a rookie in the Seahawks with Pete Carroll, who benches rookies. And I don't think that it's going to eat that much into Penny's share, because this has always been a committee backfield anyways. Carson's probably not coming back. He doesn't have a neck. I mean, Pete Carroll is like the most optimistic coach in the NFL, and everything he says you have to take with a grain of salt. And he's even saying, we're going to see how it goes. It's up to Carson if he can take a hit. Like that doesn't sound to me like he's going to be running the rock in 2022 if he can't take a hit. And they're just testing him out running right now. Like we're almost a full year removed from this injury, and they're concerned about him taking hits at this point. Like to me, they're probably going to both be in the mix. Walker probably gets playing time, especially if Carson doesn't play, but Penny's going to be the lead back, and he's being drafted in rounds 8 on average.
Yeah, he's 9th right now, and according to Mojo, and I could probably, as the hype builds, it would probably go down a bit more.
Yeah, I guess I reach because I like him.
Yeah, I'm going to throw in 3 more guys who are right around the same range as Penny. Miles Sanders, he got no competition through the draft. Devin Singletary, I think, obviously we got competition through the draft, but, honestly, I still think he's going to be a big part of that Buffalo offense. And then Chase Edmonds, I'll throw him out there as well. Again, somebody who got 0 competition through the draft. If you believe that Raheem Mostert is the answer, then Godspeed, young man. But I'll take Edmonds.
I'll agree with Dan on Edmonds. I think Edmonds is just a screaming value right now. And I'll throw out, I'd like to keep an eye on the Elijah Moore ADP as Garrett Wilson, as we start seeing a little bit more of those guys merging together in closeness, because I think Elijah Moore could end up becoming a big value if he pulls back a little bit.
Anyone really that's been like so-called replaced in the draft, right? We can look at like Elijah Mitchell. One guy I like since the trade that Vegas made is Hunter Renfrow. I find he's dropping too much. We saw, what's the other guy on the Bills? Davis. No, he didn't see a threat come in through the draft, so he should continue to see target growth and more action in a nice offense. Obviously, there's a few guys in that range. We talked about Albert O's, those kind of guys. Trying to see who. Well, obviously we know Bateman's value is probably going to end up where it should be. It's still in the 9th right now. I think it's got room to go up. Yeah, some good names for you.
Getting back to the draft, there were 6 wide receivers drafted in the first round. Which one will make the biggest impact in redraft this year? And then which one is the one that you want if you're picking one strictly for Dynasty?
It's a toss-up for me between London and Burks. I think you can land either or and be fine both ways. I think both of them are going to have. I think Burks probably has a more productive year one just because the quarterback he's tied to, even though it's Tannehill, but Tannehill still step up for Mariota. It's funny how that came full circle there, but it's so true. But Burks, I think, is just falling into, like I said earlier, 336 vacated targets, 64% of the team's target share is there, where London is going into the 5th most target share, 42.88% of the vacated targets or target percentages available there. I think pick your poison, whichever one you like. London's more of that traditional X receiver, big frame, 6'4", 214 pounds. Probably is going to see less coverage because he's playing besides Pitts, where Burks is going to be playing next to Nick Westbrook-Akeen and Bob Woods once he returns. So, plus you got to think that this is a pretty run-heavy offense. So you might want to give the slight lean to London year one, but I think it's a pretty damn good coin flip.
Yeah, totally agree with that. I'm hoping to end up with some of both in my rookie drafts.
Yeah, I think it's where if you have volume, you're just kind of diversifying, right? You don't want to be wrong and just have one guy 75% of the time. You want to try to 50-50 these guys as much as you can.
Right. And I think, and we can throw up 1912's question here, because I think these guys are going to go pretty much in any order in most rookie drafts. I think you're going to see Burks, London, Walker kind of going 2, 3, 4, and you can really just put them into a hat, shake them up and pull them out. And, nobody's going to be surprised in any particular rookie draft what order they go in. So if I've got, like the 102, that's a place where I would even consider dropping down to the 104. If I can make that deal, just because I'll take some of each, please, but definitely more Burks and London than Walker.
Billy, I want to ask you about 2 other names receiver-wise, because I've seen this guy squeeze in actually ahead of Garrett Wilson in one draft with Jamison Williams. And then another guy who's shot up, obviously, because the landing spot is Sky Moore. Where are you on these 2 guys? Do you see them in a lower tier than the guys we're talking about? And how do you see them with their futures ahead of them?
Yeah, I can just kind of go through my tiers right now. Burks and London are in their own tier for me. I think that's pretty decided at this point. I really liked Wilson's skill set, probably the most out of all of these guys, but landing spot, I think, moves him down just a peg for me. I just don't fully believe in the landing spot. But tier 2, closely behind, is Wilson. And then I have Williams and Olave there in tier 2. Tier 3 in order is Bell, Pickens, and then Sky Moore. I wasn't as high on Sky Moore as a lot of people. I loved Pickens' tape, and I really liked Bell's tape. People say, oh, Bell's slow. So was Jerry Rice. But Jerry Rice had really good feet. Bell has really good feet. You look at his tape, and, the dude's a magician. He makes people miss, and you're like, he's not running fast, but he's just the way he moves his feet. He's just so magical with him that he just makes people miss and he can just get by people. So Bell actually leads that tier 3 for me. And then tier 4 is Dotson, Mechie, and Watson. And then tier 5 is Dubes, Wandale, Tolbert, and then Pierce.
Damn, the hate with Pierce. My Colts. Come on, man. Jordy Nelson there.
Oh, man. I kind of laughed at that one when I saw it on ESPN. So let's talk real quickly. I know I'm kind of jumping ahead a little bit, but I want to make sure we get to this one. The veterans have gained the most value on dynasty value on draft night. Billy, who do you have?
I've been pounding the table on 2 names here, and they're on the same team actually.
Yes.
And it's going to be Darnell Mooney and Cole Kmet. Right. I've been talking about vacated targets and vacated targets and vacated targets, and I can say it until I'm blue in the face here. Right. But, it's a real thing. And you look at, the Chicago Bears, and they're like, what is it? 5th, 6th, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, tied for 7th, the 7th most vacated targets, 217 vacated targets. Darnell Mooney had 143 targets last year as it stands. Tie in all they did in this draft class was add, Velus Jones around 3 and 7 undrafted free agents. Like, what do you do? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter at that point. Mooney's gonna to the moon. Like 140 targets is not even. It's not realistic. It's probably low now. Like, we're probably talking about 150 targets, maybe 155, 160 targets. Like, that's a real possibility. And then Cole Kmet, like I said, on the same team. They got rid of Jimmy Graham. Again, all those targets are there for the availability. They only added two rookie tight ends that were undrafted as well. So they have no competition for these two. And they already have the chemistry with Fields. They showed rapport with Fields. Like, I've been drafting these guys nonstop already in early drafts. And I'm so happy that I just kind of went all in on them early and said, I don't care if I have 30 in Kmet's. So Kmet, I had 40% ownership, because he was going so cheap. And I normally am not a guy that likes to go that high in ownership, especially with the volume that I do. But when I was getting him in round 14s in drafts,
right,
I was like, why not? Like, it doesn't matter if he busts. Okay, whatever. It's a round 14 pick. But if he hits, like I think he's going to hit, he could be a top 10 tight end.
Yeah. And here's the thing with Kmet too. Number one, everything Billy said, absolutely true. Number 2, last year, 93 targets, 0 touchdowns. What are the odds that's going to happen again? The 93 targets is now on the low end. Basically, if you look at the top 7 tight ends last year, all of them had 95 targets or more. And then you had Kmet way down at number 20 with 93 targets. So that's where you want to bet on the positive regression right there. And the fact that, I can't see a way that he's not going to get over 100 targets this year. Probably more than 110. I don't know where you have him projected at, Billy, but
I have him projected for 119 right now, and I might be low.
There you go. If he gets 119 targets, that's going to be top 5 in tight ends and targets, guaranteed.
I like Wheeler's thought on Landry too.
Yeah. For instance, last year I had Hawkinson projected for, I believe it was 126 targets. He was on pace for that to start the year before his injury. Yep. That's the kind of level I think that we're going to see an involvement in the passing game from Kmet here in 2022.
Right. And you can get like 2 Kmets for 1 Hawkinson in pretty much any league.
Yeah.
Hey, and Wheeler, by the way, Wheeler, you're on the clock, buddy. I know you want to wait till the end of the show in case Muzio gives you a little nugget for that next pick, but I'm waiting, man. I got 2 picks waiting. Come on, let's go.
I actually wrote an article that's coming out on Player Profiler this week. It was the post-draft dynasty winners and losers among veterans. Mooney was a huge one for me. I think a sneaky winner for me was Terry McLaurin, simply because Drake London was linked to Washington for a while. More of a classic X guy. And now you're seeing Dotson land there, which is not like McLaurin at all. I think he maintains his alpha role. Bateman's obviously a winner based on the trade. James Conner, I know that's a guy you're a big fan of, Billy, and Dan is a huge fan of, and he came away unscathed practically unscathed in this draft. The offense got better by adding Hollywood Brown, adding McBride, and the only running back they added was Ingram super late. Antonio Gibson, a lot of people have talked about as a draft loser based on the fact that they added Robinson in the 3rd round, but I think he's a huge winner because we've had guests coming on the last couple of weeks, talking up Kenneth Walker visiting Washington, Breece Hall visiting Washington, and he avoids the top guys. So I think if you're a Gibson dynasty manager, you're kind of you have to feel pretty good. He still has pressure to perform and stay healthy, but it's his job. And then how about Saquon Barkley? Saquon Barkley, the Giants did nothing to show that they're worried about Saquon at all with their actions during the draft. They improved their offensive line, and they added a receiver. They were linked to running backs as well, but Saquon, he participated in the minicamp, and they did nothing in the draft that should show you anything showing that they have any worries about Saquon for this year.
Yeah, quick. Who is the backup running back for the Giants?
Breida.
Yes. That's all we need to say. I mean,
well, we saw what he did in Buffalo last year.
That was Josh Allen's fault.
I shouldn't give Breida that hard of a time. He does have some talent, but the gulf between him and Saquon is significant. And the fact that they didn't do anything else says that they're not looking to trade Saquon. Saquon's going to be on this team, and I think this offense is the Giants' offense. I'm just way higher on in general with the change in the coaching staff. I think we're going to be kind of all a little bit amazed at how much they were being held back by the coaching staff for the past couple of years. I mean, the coaching was awful. The scheme
you don't
was
think
awful.
Jason Garrett was the truth?
I mean, no. But I'll clap for him.
Yeah.
I think Barkley's a great bounce back candidate this year. He's someone you should have been buying, especially in Dynasty when people weren't talking about it. And it's not that I'm hearing it anywhere else right now. To be honest, Dan, you bring it up and broke it down nicely. He's one of those stud running backs that are hard to get a hold of that you could possibly buy right now.
There's not many people you can get around 3 that could end up being the number 1 overall player in the NFL right now.
Right.
Exactly.
Which veterans lost the most? Dynasty value. Easy one, Carter, so we don't need to talk about him.
Yep.
Stop reminding me, Theo, please.
And JD has to redo his you have to redo your write-up.
I totally have to now, right? Yeah.
Yep,
I mean, I just figured they would compliment him, and use that capital somewhere else. But I mean, they had so many picks that I was just in denial at a certain point. It's like, fuck, how could they not take Hall there,
Is it cheating if I say AJ Green?
There you go.
Yes.
Yes, it is. But you can say DeAndre.
I don't know,
Hopkins.
man. Yeah, I don't know.
It's
With
not
Hopkins
draft,
out,
but you can definitely say DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
I think
Drafted the 16th.
insert any vet right now on that offense, just because Wandell I think is going to take a step forward. They get Marquise Brown, who played college at OU with the midget, right, Kyler Murray, and I just think that they're going to have that chemistry. A lot of people say, "Oh, they got to build a rapport." They already have that rapport. They had it in college, and it's gonna translate to the NFL because they have that chemistry together. Yes, it's a higher caliber or higher level of talent they have to face, but they're going to know each other's moves and timing, and so I think that Hopkins you can add in the equation. Green's probably dead now. You can even add in Ertz to the equation. I think everybody on that offense right now is kind of, veterans are gonna hit that list because Mcbride was drafted round 2. So I think you can insert any of those veterans into this question.
Right. You can throw in Devonta Smith.
Yep.
With AJ Brown hitting Philly, I think it's definitely going to hurt him. But he could also become a nice value if he drops far enough. Amon-Ra St. Brown definitely took a hit with Jamison Williams going there.
I think someone like Ertz could be a value too with McBride going there. He's not necessarily going to hit right away.
Chase Claypool was on. I had Dan is just so sharp tonight. I had all those guys that you mentioned, Dan, in the article. But Chase Claypool, to me, and I'm a big Claypool guy, but they add George Pickens.
Rest in peace, our FBG team, Lester.
There you go. We don't need to talk about that one. Billy. But Chase Claypool, to me, it's kind of like that worry time because you have Deontay Johnson coming up on a new contract. If Pickens flashes, I could see them moving on from Claypool after this year. So that was a name for me. And then how about Justin Fields? Just based on we're talking about what the Bears didn't do and how it props up Kmet and Mooney, but Justin Fields has gotten no help whatsoever. Right. They're not doing anything to help him out. And it's how much value does Chicago value Justin Fields right now? It's with the new GM in there. It's a little odd. And then I did have Devin Singletary as a loser. Despite whatever we think of Cook, they used a second-round pick to get Cook. They tried to get McKissick. I think at the very least it caps what Singletary can do as a receiver. I mean, you saw the end of last year the tear Singletary went on. I don't think it's great for Singletary, and I'm a little worried about him.
Yeah, I don't think it's great for Singletary, but on the other hand, I mean, people weren't valuing him that high even before the NFL draft. Everybody was kind of going in with the assumption that they're going to do something at running back. And I think of the things that could have happened at running back, this one is one of the ones that's probably a little bit less tough for him to overcome. I would have been a lot more worried had we seen Breece Hall or Kenny Walker go there, something
100%.
like that.
Yeah, it's like one of the best of the worst case scenarios, right?
Right.
Like you look at it and like he was going in like 7 and 8 before. Like I got him at pick 106 last night in underdog draft. Like that's just stupid cheap with the upside that he has. Like I'll take that discount all day. Like I don't care if Cook's there. I like that he's falling in drafts now because it presents opportunity and presents value with arguably the most electric offense in the NFL.
Yeah, and to Theo's point on Justin Fields. Just a few days ago, I traded Justin Fields in the 207 in a one quarterback league for Jalen Hurts.
And Dan stealing out there.
And Theo, I like your call on Claypool, and I thought it was awesome of the Steelers to it was like the ultimate troll move. They had him announce his replacement, possibly.
I know. So cool. And put the Canadian out there on the stage just to take a beating. Come on.
It's like training your replopment at work.
It's a good thing they didn't send Tannehill out there, eh? Imagine they sent Tannehill to make that pick.
I was hoping that they were going to send him out for the next, on their round 4 pick when they took Calvin Austin too. And I was like, oh, please send him back out for both receivers, as a sign, get your together, buddy. You got to figure it out. It's real. I talked about, I know we talked about it a lot off air last year, is Claypool's immaturity, right? His rawness, and he definitely has the talent, right, to succeed in the league. But I just think that from, an immaturity standpoint, I just don't know if he's quite ready to be a number 2 in an offense at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right there. And the thing is with Claypool, I mean, he didn't have great production metrics in college. What he had was great athleticism. Yep. And sometimes those are the guys you see who, kind of hit for a year, kind of like Martavis Bryant, that type of thing. Seeing Claypool fall, it's like he's kind of got those physical characteristics that you really want. But he's kind of showing that maybe what we saw in college was really a little bit more indicative of what we should expect as a pro. And also, may I say, we should have had Ed Marinaro announcing every draft pick. We'd probably be getting to about the 5th round by now.
Yeah.
And I'm convinced that the Steelers, the Calvin Austin thing it's just classic Ravens Steelers rivalry. The Ravens were set to take Calvin Austin. They were linked to him. The Steelers took him 1 pick ahead just to stick it to the Ravens. I think that was just fantastic. You lose Hollywood Brown, you can galaxy brain your way to using Calvin Austin in a lot of those routes. So it was a real way to stick it to your rival, and you love seeing that.
I want to put Kyle's question on. Kyle, shout out to Kyle. He's a regular, drops some great comments on our shows on the regular, always complimenting the shows and the work that we're doing over here. So we appreciate your support, buddy. Let's answer his question here. My Dynasty League, we only need to start one RB, so the position isn't too crucial. Looking to move Elijah Mitchell in 203 for the 103. Eyes on London, Burks, Wilson. Any thoughts on that move? Is that a legit offer? Do you think that gets him the 103? Billy, I'll go to you first, or Theo.
I wouldn't take it if I had the 103. I think that, you're
as Dan tells me with all my offers that I show him, I'm like, I go to Dan just to say, like, is this like an offer? Like, am I gonna just get instant reject? Because so you always want to give. I always say this: if you really want something, you're better off offering a bit more to get it, right, Dan? Is that fair to say?
I mean, for the most part. But then I just watched. I just watched Shelley in a startup draft trade the 102 for the 106 and a 2023 first.
Oh, damn, that's pretty nice. That's nice. I like that.
Yeah, and I was like, dude, how did you manage that? He goes, I sent the offer, and he didn't even question it. He just took it. And I'm like, he says, this is why I'm totally unrepentant on sending bad offers. And I'm like, okay, it worked.
Yeah. I'm going to say in a one running back league, send it, but it probably won't be accepted. It's worth a shot though, right?
Yeah, I would send it for sure.
But it probably won't happen. But I would, if you can get that, I would go ahead and do it, especially in a one running back league.
Yeah, and especially with Mitchell, we're just talking about draft capital and everything else at running back. So you're looking at a guy who's he could get replaced at any time.
Guys, I want to give a quick shout out to our friends at Underdog. I talked about the FFPC. You're having fun in the FFPC. It's like maybe 1:30. You want to go find a new batch of targets to cruise. You head over to the other hot club, Underdog. They've got a quicker. You get the mobile app on your phone. They've got huge money tournaments on right now. $1 million first place, Bestball tournaments, $25 buy-in. You've got every sport out there. NBA playoffs are on right now. Major League Baseballs are back. You can play all that NHL playoffs. You can play on their player props and best balls. Go check it out, Underdog Fantasy, and use the code DISTRICT. If you're signing up for the first time, you'll get up to $100 free in your face just for signing up and using the code DISTRICT. Anything we haven't touched on yet, guys? I know I'm looking at the questions, and I mean, not necessarily elephant in the room because of the quality of the quarterbacks, but did we talk enough Pickett yet? Like, Billy, were you seeing Pickett, especially the super flex guys, right? We talked about maybe not reaching, but is he worth targeting for you? Or I guess you gave us the Davis Mills answer. Is that what would apply with Pickett there, or is that more like the later guys?
I just rather take Mills over almost anybody in this class. You can find value at quarterback on anyone's roster. Someone has a third quarterback or maybe even a fourth quarterback they're willing to give up for, not necessarily cheap, but rather than spending a round one rookie pick on a quarterback, go out and get someone like a vet that's, maybe at the tail end of their career even. I just would much rather have like so many players right now over most of these rookies. Like if you're rebuilding, fine, go ahead and take Pickett, go ahead and take Willis, but I feel gross doing it.
Yeah, for sure. I'm actually curious to see where Dan would put Pickett in like a RotoViz rookie draft, or excuse me, a triflex or a regular FFPC league that's super flex. Where would you take him?
I'm going to put him low enough that I'm never going to actually have to make the decision to take him.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I don't know what the answer to that is, but
Well, the answer seems like we're avoiding the quarterbacks. Period.
Yeah, I have no real interest in Pickett at all. I mean, I guess theoretically there's a point where I would be going, well, okay, I guess I'll take Pickett, but I mean that's you're pretty much down to the Drew Lock tier before I'm starting to think about that. So, yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, honest to God, I would rather gamble on Willis for a cheaper price than take Pickett.
Like if this is Dynasty, I'd probably just punt the year and take a quarterback next year. Like there you go. Look at that. Yeah, 100%. Like you just punt. Like take the punt and trade away your veterans and acquire 2023. Like if you were in that bad a situation in Superflex, you have to just punt the year and go for next year.
Yeah.
If it's redraft, like go get Goff, go get Davis Mills. Like there's so many other options. Like you don't have to have these guys.
Yeah, I think it's just if you want to, kind of remind yourself, the only third round drafted NFL starter this year of note is Russell Wilson. And then when you go back down one more round, you get 2 4th-round hits in Dak Prescott and Kirk Cousins. And it's just barren. These guys don't hit. They rarely hit, and they rarely become fantasy starters. So it's, the NFL told you what you should think about these guys. And, Kenny Pickett it's like he's got great weapons. So I want to draft him. They took him in the first round thing, but I don't know. It's just he lacks the upside to ever really return much value if you're taking him with like the 103 in a super flex. You just can't do it this year. I think you just pass on it.
So let me ask you guys this question: Kenny Pickett or Tom Brady?
Oh, it's not even a question for me.
Yeah,
Tom Brady. I want to win, Dan. I don't want to sit there and watch shit rot. You know what I mean?
I'd rather trade away a pick and take Tom Brady and then worry about that pick next year.
Yeah, I think I'm with Billy.
I totally agree with that. It's just funny to me because you look, in pretty much any trade calculator, and they're like, oh, Kenny Pickett way more valuable than Tom
really?
Brady.
Oh wow, yes. That's a trade you got to be making then.
You
almost draft Pickett just to make that trade.
But I just like to put like all honesty on the table here. I've been telling people to trade Tom Brady for like 10 years, telling him it was like we're getting near the end of his career, and here he is at like age 50 throwing dimes, and arguably putting up MVP caliber years. So until he retires, I'm not going to bet against Brady ever again.
The 45-year-old guys break the trade calculator in Dynasty trade calculator. It's never good for it.
He's just Yoda now. He just needs to be Yoda in there.
Yeah, that's so good.
So
who's Grogu?
So I'm looking at Dynasty trade calculator. Kenny Pickett 24.2 points. Tom Brady 9.6 points. That's way off. Looking at the what is it? The Dynasty Dominator. You have Pickett for 170 points and Tom Brady for 116 points. Or I'm sorry, no, they have it the other way. They have Brady for 170, Pickett for 116. So that makes a lot more sense to me.
Yeah, that makes more sense to me too.
Exactly. But if you can trade, Pickett plus a second or something and get Brady.
I just got to know that if you are doing the Brady side, that you have to continue to think about quarterback, right? Because he could retire at any point. But like if you're worrying about taking Pickett, you have to worry about him even continuing moving forward, year to year. So it's equal risk in my opinion moving forward, but one's the GOAT and one is, has GOAT hands, like it's just tiny hands. Like it's like, and I have no faith in this quarterback class.
Okay, guys, let's do some quick OTCs. I know we're close to the end here. I'm just gonna grab one of these drafts that I'm in right now. Oh, I had Sky Moore or Christian Watson. Billy, I'll go to you first. We'll go around.
Oh, let me go back to my.
Dan is not allowed to answer this.
I'm going to say Sky Moore.
I'm on this one.
Sky Moore.
Yeah, Sky Moore. Not
Sky
close.
Moore all around. Funny because Watson's going ahead of him in the drafts that I'm doing right now.
Watson will be the most overdrafted, disappointing player in this entire draft.
I could see that.
James Cook, Rashad White.
Ooh, I'm going to go Rashad White.
I'm going to go James Cook.
Is this Dynasty or are we talking 2020?
Always Dynasty. We're doing Dynasty.
Rashad White, 100% Rashad White.
It's all about rookie drafts.
I'll go Rashad White in Dynasty. I'll go James Cook probably in redraft.
And the reason I say that, Theo talked about looking at a 1-year trajectory for these, especially these running backs. For me, it's Dynasty. I'm looking at a year and a half. I'm not looking too far ahead in general with running back position. So, it doesn't change much. What if we go later down Algier or Zamir White?
Zamir White.
Theo?
I'm going to go Zamir White as well. I think he's real sneaky in Vegas this year.
You have to also consider that they declined Josh Jacobs' 5th year. So it would not surprise me if like somebody had a running back go down either early in the season or even end of camp, and they came knocking on the door to trade and they got rid of Josh Jacobs and let Zamir White run.
Do you, does Davis Price fit anywhere with these names, the last 2 names we've talked about, or is he behind both of them?
Behind both of them for me.
All right. So that's, I'll be taking Algier and Zamir White with my next 2 picks here. Wheeler, FYI.
I wondered if that was why you were asking.
Did we
Billy's got to give his top 5.
I was just going to ask Theo if we've done that yet. No, let's do that. Let's give I know you guys probably got it through the whole show. He's probably, if you put the pieces together, but make it simple for people who might rewind to the end there. Billy, give us your top 5 right now. FFPC rookie drafts.
Hall, Burks, London, Wilson, Olave.
Does that change for either of you, Dan or Theo?
I'm
so professional. I throw the question at both of them. See that, Billy? You can use that. Yeah. It's okay. I'll let you.
All right. Theo, go ahead. Then I'll do mine.
Hall for me at 1. So for me, it's Halsey. It's almost like Hall and then a tier break. I'm going to have Burks at 2. I'm going to have Wilson at 3. London at 4 and Walker at 5. But I will say that if you're running back needy, I like Walker and I would take him as high as the 102 if I really needed one in the FFPC. But like I have a 102, I know I'm going to take Burks in 1 league. I have another 102 where it could be Walker or one of those wide receivers.
Yeah, it's very similar for me. You guys have anything different? Dan, do you have anything different?
I have Hall, London, and Burks basically tied. I actually have Jamison Williams above Kenneth Walker, but I know I'll need to take Walker before Williams. So functionally, I have Walker ahead of Williams, but as far as my actual rankings, I have Williams in front of Walker.
All right, guys.
And then just before we close out, I know that we're close to the end here. Billy,
we got like 5 to 10 minutes. We're good.
Jamison Williams is one guy we didn't talk about it. We've talked about him in the GOAT District for weeks, but I want to hear your thoughts on Jamison Williams.
I like it. I mean, had we known exactly what his timeline was coming off this ACL injury, I would argue that he is, arguably the 101 in wide receivers in this class.
With those top 2.
With those top 2 with Burks and London. I'd put him ahead of both of them, quite frankly.
Oh, okay.
He's that good. And so Dynasty, which is what we're talking about. I don't love the landing spot, right? But the competition for targets right out the gate. That's my fear with him right now. Also coming off the injury, had he landed in Atlanta, to the roof, right? Or had he landed in Tennessee, with where he did, either one of these spots, or even if he landed in the Saints offense, right? It would have been a story here. But I like the talent. I think he's probably the most talented receiver in this class. But coming off the injury and then landing spot, I just have some concerns.
Yeah, and definitely to Billy's point there. Can you imagine the Saints? They took Olave with Jamison Williams on the board still. Yeah. I mean, I just could not fathom that. I mean, not to say Olave is a bad player. He certainly isn't. But if you have Jamison Williams or Olave, it's hard to fathom.
And look what they gave up to end up getting Olave. It was like a king's ransom that involved multiple trades to move up to that position.
Lesson learned.
That's New Orleans. They will burn draft capital like crazy. They just don't even care. They trade up all the time. Mickey Loomis is the most confident general manager, I think, of all 32 general managers. All he does is trade up.
Well, we got to talk about the third round later prospects.
Okay. Yes, definitely.
Yeah, let's do that.
So it's pretty easy for me, and it's Jelani Woods. Like this kind of ties in with the tight end question we talked about earlier.
Colts, nice.
Like the dude is just an athletic freak, like 6'7", 252 pounds, freak athlete, right? And he lands in a team that likes to throw to the tight end. You look at his spark score, 93rd percentile, his 4.640 for that size with an 89th percentile, speed score is 94th percentile, burst score 95th percentile, catch radius 98th percentile. Like I was super high on him and was hoping that he wouldn't be drafted as high as he was in the draft so that you continue to sneak him in rookie drafts. And like I said, the drafts I do before the drafts, we were able to get a pretty good value on him, but now he's going to climb. Like it's 100% he's going to continue to climb. And I'm already seeing his name pop up in like high stakes leagues and around 20 and even non-tight end premium leagues. So it's interesting to see him climb boards. And I don't think he's going to have a great 2022 year. I think we'll probably see more Kylan Granson this year than Jelani Woods, but Jelani Woods for the future is, I think, for the Colts.
Granson or Moali Cox?
I think Moali Cox probably has a better year, but I like Granson more.
Yeah. So quick question, just as a Colts fan and as an Alec Pierce fan, you like the athleticism and those numbers you shot out with Wood. Why not with Alec Pierce when he has similar athletic?
I like Alec Pierce. I just like other wide receivers more. Where there's only one tight end ahead of
relative to the position.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to throw out Taekwon Thornton because, of course, I am a Baylor guy. All you have to do is look behind me, But honest to God, he's somebody that I guess I did more scouting of him than anybody else because I watch all the Baylor games. But he's a good wide receiver. I mean, he tracks the ball well. He's able to get open. He's able to get off press. All that kind of stuff. It really was not his fault that Baylor has sucky quarterback play and, just can't really hit the broadside of a barn. So when he added the speed that he's got, I think he's a very interesting pick, once you start getting into like the third round and later of your rookie drafts, plus he's got the draft capital too. I'm always a little bit nervous about players that move up in the draft based on their combine performance, but that's a guy where he moved up in the NFL draft, but he's still getting no love in rookie drafts. So I'll take that discount rookie drafts.
Billy, you talk about Granson. I've got 25% Granson in FFPC right now, Bestballs, just because I was loving him early in the offseason in the late rounds. We got a question. Chris Evans, another guy I like in those later rounds. 1912 asking, give us maybe 4 or 5 of your top, late round guys that you like to throw darts at in best ball right now.
Give me a round number later.
For me, late in like FFPC is 28. So let's say 15 to 18 or later.
Okay. Let me pull up a board just so I can.
Yeah, just call it round 15 or later. I mean, whether you're talking about slims or.
The first one, just off the top of my head, because I lock it every single time, is James Washington. Love the offense. Rookie wide receiver Tolbert added, but I just the involvement we're going to see from the rookies is unknown.
22nd round right now.
Gallup's coming off injury, so I love James Washington's landing spot and his potential upside. That's going to be probably my first one. I got the boards pulling.
KJ Osborne going right beside him. Another guy like round 22. I don't know, Dan, if you have any insight on that with Osborne. Should he come, kind of continue on the trajectory he was on, or do you see that just being the situational thing for last year?
No, I think he definitely makes sense. I mean, Adam Thielen, as Billy said, is old. He's probably going to miss some games. And, Irv Smith, we don't know. I don't think Irv Smith is really a fantastic tight end. I think he's just an all right one. So KJ Osborne, he definitely showed some chemistry with Cousins. So he's a guy I definitely like.
Yeah, I like him too. Okay, good.
So I hate to say this because this kind of gives up my strategy for the year, but it's real.
Nobody's listening. Don't worry.
I there's so much value at tight end this year. Like when you look at targets available and landing spots. Like Austin Hooper sucked last year, but there's no one else there to really catch the ball this year. So Austin Hooper is a good tight end late. You have Ricky Seals-Jones, who's stepping into the most vacated targets of all tight ends, 111 vacated targets, and it's only the tight end position for that offense. So, I mean, that's a massive amount of targets to just fall into your lap from just one position to one position. Like if that was a total team share, it's a different story. But he's walking into a team that literally has 111 vacated targets at one position that he happens to play. And the only other tight end that they brought in is a blocking tight end. So I love Ricky Seals. I like always still adding like Marlon Mack. Like I said earlier, I like Damon Pierce, but they brought Marlon Mack in for a reason, right? I think that it's Marlon Mack's job to lose right now. So I'm going to gamble on Marlon Mack. And I mean, people say, oh, he didn't play coming out. He came off an Achilles, but prior to the Achilles, he looked great. Even after the Achilles, he looked pretty damn good, but they just happened to have Jonathan Taylor. Yeah. Like they don't need him. So I like Marlon Mack late, and he's falling now, especially with Pierce being added. Like I was able to get him in round like 18, 19, round 18 underdog the other night, 17 one round. So very cheap. You can even get in, and I'm going back and forth in formats here. So, you know, Hurts and underdog is going super late as well, around 17. It just depends on the format you're playing. Like if you're playing FFPC, you're gonna have to take him earlier because of tight end premium. But there's so many late round targets right now. Like I wish I could trade back in Bestball.
Yeah, I agree. Take that first guy and then just smash late, or I don't know, take a bunch of them late, right?
Yeah, I'll throw out one more. Damien Williams right now as a 28th rounder. It's we talked about Algier. Cordero Patterson, but Mike Davis was cut, and Williams is right there for Atlanta. And then just want to throw out
running backs.
I want to throw out two rookies that we didn't touch upon as my late round or later round sleepers. I think that Pierre Strong for a lot of people didn't land right because of the crowded backfield, but I think he's the kind of guy that could really emerge there. I think that he's a Bill Belichick kind of guy. It's a small school guy. He's got wheels. He also had 4 passing touchdowns last year, which is just crazy for a running back. He's got passing ability from the running back position, so you can just see Belichick galaxy braining, packages to utilize that. And I'll throw out Khalil Shakir, who landed with Buffalo. And I think that that's a great landing spot for him. We saw Gabe Davis, break out as a rookie, and as a day 3 guy. And I think Shakir could end up, carving a role and making some big splash plays this year.
I'm going to throw out 2 quarterbacks too. So if this kind of gives you my strategy I've been doing on underdog. I've literally been going like anchor running back and then like 6 or 7 straight wide receivers. And then I'll come back around and grab, the pennies and the Singletaries and
Edmonds.
the Edmonds and the Pollards and fill in the rest of my running back core. And then I hit like 2 or 3 quarterbacks straight, and I'll go somebody like Davis Mills and Goff, right? Look at Goff's weapons this year. They didn't add another quarterback, and they have Swift, who's arguably one of the best, pass catching running backs in the league. They have a top 5 tight end in the league. They have, St. Brown. They added James Williams. They have a really good set of weapons this year. And Goff actually had some games last year where he had 3-4 touchdowns. Like he threw lights out in some games. So Goff is sneaky good this year.
That's Super Bowl quarterback.
Yes. So there is some sneaky ads there at quarterback late. So you can just, throw in late quarterbacks, throw in late tight ends, and just go nothing but wide receiver and running back early.
No FOMO in Bestball. That's another T-shirt we need. You shouldn't have to FOMO in Bestball, man. Don't panic and start grabbing, at the back of tiers just to catch up to other guys' picks.
Yep. Keep a strength to strength.
Yeah, and very quickly, because I've been asked. I have to throw it out there. Abram Smith, yes. Undrafted free agent, went to the Saints. Alvin Kamara, likely in legal hot water, could end up missing some games this year. Abram Smith can do a very convincing Mark Ingram imitation. and Ingram is starting to look pretty washed. So, for a kind of a very late dart throw and a best ball, or, somebody at the end of a dynasty rookie draft, definitely get you some Abram Smith. He's worth it.
And they gave him a lot of money too, Dan, for undrafted guy. I believe he was the highest paid undrafted guy. I don't recall exactly how much, but it was like $250,000 or something.
$250,000.
Yeah, he got a lot of money for sure.
Hey Theo, who drafted him inside of our FFWC Dynasty League?
Nice.
That would be you, I believe.
Yes.
Right? That was your team. Yeah.
Did you, Billy?
Yes,
Billy, love it.
I was hoping he'd land somewhere. I was a little disappointed when he went undrafted at first, and then he was like one of the first undrafted signings, and I was like, oh, good move.
Yes.
Billy, do you recall who took David Bell though?
I do. Yeah, I remember that bastard sniped me.
That landed pretty well.
I was so mad.
And Andrew and I took David Bell, and Billy sent several offers while we were on the clock. But we happily took David Bell, and then a few nasty messages after the pick was made.
I tried to trade up for like 3 straight hours to get David Bell. I just had a feeling he was going to go, and then they lock him in, and I was like, oh, well, now I'm going to sit here and milk the clock until everyone tries to trade up and take my pick, because now I don't want it. I was pretty salty.
That was a fun one for sure.
That was like one of the most painful snipes of the year so far.
Nice.
Billy, man, one of my favorite dudes. Theo said it, returning guest, but returning friend. You've definitely become a friend of the show and a friend of ours, and we always appreciate your time. We're glad you're feeling better. Remind the people where they can find you. I know you had your vacant targets article. If you want, if it's cool with you, maybe we'll drop the link in the comments of the show for people to connect. Maybe we'll drop Theo's article link as well that he talked about with, was it guys losing value, Theo?
It was winners and losers.
Winners and losers. So we'll drop the link for that in the comments as well. But Billy, remind the peeps and anything else you want to share before we close this out.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, boys. Always a pleasure to join. I love talking football with you guys. I could, if I didn't have to get the kids down, I'd sit here and talk all night. Like I could get them down and come back if you wanted to. Like, I'd love to. But it was
we'll do a quick mock draft, rookie mock. Come back,
But I love talking football with you guys. Consider you guys good friends as well. You can find all my work at Full Time Fantasy, also at the FFWC, which is another high stakes site where we're doing drafts daily. I created the new tournament over there, so it's my own creation. It was definitely inspired. The Superflex site was inspired by Scott, but the format I created, and it's a unique format. Now I'm going to plug this. Sorry, guys.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
So it's a Superflex Bestball tournament. There's only 600 entries. It's a $50 entry, $25,000 in prizes, and it's completely different playoff format than anywhere else. So none of the 1 week bullshit pass through stuff. Lucky team gets to win. No, after week 14, the top 2 teams of each division go into the finals. So 100 teams in the overall finals. You go into the finals with your 14-week average, like you would in the main event or the FPG, and then it's a 3-week shootout. All the top 2 teams facing off for points championship. So no variance, no luck, all statistics, all about the best team. Whoever wins takes the top prize down. And so it's the first time any site's done it. I'm excited to do it. We rolled it out, and we're doing drafts live now. Friday, we drafting live over there as well. But articles at Full Time Fantasy, and of course, I'm posting on Twitter at FF Muzio below.
Must follow, guys. Go ahead.
I'll
Theo.
fire off an entry.
I might fire a couple.
Yeah, we're going to be drafting. We're drafting live on Friday. I think there's like 6 spots left. And there's a max pack. So max pack's only 18 entries because you only have 3% entries. And then if you buy a max pack, you actually get a VIP. If you draft live in Vegas, they have the suite already booked, so you can get free entry into the suite for a VIP party for max packs. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, nice. Check it out, guys. Theo, like we said, man, the hits keep coming. What do we have on the menu? What do we have coming up?
So we have a fun one on Monday. We have Sean Siegel of RotoViz coming on.
Don't forget Friday. Don't forget Friday first. Friday we have the what is it? No, I'm gonna forget.
The Revelations draft.
Revelations.
The FFPC Revelations draft. Andrew will be in that one. Dan has brought in a ringer because he is on the trip in DC. So Dan has a pretty good replacement drafter in Dave Hubbard, one of the best drafters in America. But we'll try to compete with Dave in that one. That should be a fun draft.
Yeah, we'll either bring a live stream or we'll do like a review of the draft. We're still trying to figure out logistic-wise, but we'll do something because there's some heavy hitters and there's some good content on there for you guys to learn from for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And then Monday we'll have Sean Siegel of RotoViz. We're going to do some Dynasty. We will discuss Zero RB, and we will discuss a format that we really like, the FFPC RotoViz Triflex Dynasty format. We're going to get his thoughts on all of those things. And then Tuesday we have Ian Hartitz of PFF. So this will be a fun week. And we're also working on a rookie draft review show. We'll have that at some point, hopefully next week, where we have some high stakes Dynasty players talking about their processes after the draft, which is a show that a lot of people are not doing it, but I think it's very interesting to see the people with skin in the game, which way they actually went on the clock in these Dynasty drafts.
Sorry, Theo, the La Quinta comment.
It doesn't end. Andrew is definitely in a La Quinta, somewhere right off the highway.
The best is I showed you guys today my Google Photos shows me like I was down there with my parents like in 2018. My wife and my daughter and my parents had a place down there, and I had no idea it was called La Quinta until it popped up, and I was like, "Hey guys, I was there."
There you go.
Nice.
The La Quinta Flex.
La Quinta Flex. And Dan, I know you're knee deep right now. You got all kinds of drafts going, all kinds of startups. At Overhyped Sleeper, no E on the end. For sure must follow. Dan, anything to share before we close this bad boy out?
No, really. I mean, I think we hit everything. This is a fantastic show. Always love having Billy on. Billy, you're one of my favorite analysts. One of those guys that if I'm looking for an opinion, you're going to be one of those guys I go to, and I'm going to trust what I hear. So if you're not following Dan. Billy, make sure you do.
100%, guys. Check out all the handles on the screen. We appreciate you guys tuning in, whether it's podcasts or YouTube. You guys have been awesome with the podcast downloads. But check in, guys. If you're not on YouTube, check it out. We're going to keep the live streams going. We'll do some ball in with some draft boards on the screen, so you guys can follow along. Just stick with us the rest of the offseason, guys. We're going to keep the hits coming all season long. Keep smiling, keep trading, keep balling. We'll check you all later.
Go district, you know the Pope listens. Dynasty, our religion, for the blokes missing. On all of these trades, on all of these plays, on all of these grades. By the end of the day, y'all getting played. So, what you gonna do next? Try to fill up that flex? Send the homie a text? That trash offer's the best? You try to make it complex, then they text you back. Now all of a sudden, they don't make any sense. Broaden your horizons, boy. Dynasty's not for the Simons, boy. These trades not for consignment, boy. Respect your opponent, y'all some piranhas, boy. This my advice from me to you. Open up your cute little podcast queue. Search up GOAT District, my dude. Pop it in your ear, man. Y'all know what to do. It's the... And I always be traded. And I always be traded. And I always be trading. Y'all try to betray them, but first you gotta bait them. Fish.
Billy, quick question. Colts fan, Woods, where are you taking him? How early are you taking him in a non-tight end preem?
Non-tight end premium, I would probably late second, mid second.
All right. Looks like I'm taking him instead of one of those Algiers Amir Whites. Got to get my Colts, man.
Yeah, I'd pass on Algier.
Yeah. All right. Good. Great advice. That was awesome, man. That was perfect show this time of year. A lot of great info.
We are still live too.
Yeah, that's all right.
JD
Sometimes
likes to
we let
keep
it
it. JD likes to keep it live right at the end of the show.
Sometimes we let her run.
You want to know what happens, Billy? Is the reason I do it is, and Dan will attest. Like I'll let it run, and it'll be like whatever. And as soon as I turn it off, all the good stuff comes in, and then we start talking football. And I'm like, why couldn't you guys be talking about this, right after? So I'm trying to catch something. If not, we end it. It's all good.
I was gonna let you guys know about all the updates we had done over there. So I know Theo, you had drafted a little bit over at the FFWC, but we did. I've been put in charge of user experience, so we've daily have been emailing the developer and getting things changed. It's been so many different updates and developments. So I want you to take a look at them when you can. But
That's pretty cool.
No, it's awesome, man.
It's been a pretty fun task, actually, like being able to sit there and say, I don't like the way this looks from a player perspective, and let's change this to this way, and then email the developer. And then, I log in the next day and it's done. And then, oh, I don't really like the way this looks, and let's get this changed. And, oh, it'd be nice if we could have this tool. Let's get this changed, and just trying to clean everything up. So it's been a really fun task.
Is it slow and fast drafts on there?
Slow and fast. Yep. Yeah.
Well,
the fast don't feel as fast because it's not as popular as a site yet, but it's we'll probably fill like 2 fast drafts a week, maybe 1, 2 max, and then slow drafts are kind of filling once or twice a week as well.
Well, maybe we try to fill a live one and get the crew going. Maybe we'll do a ball in.
Yeah, it'd be fun. I know I'm going to be doing a live show Friday, so there's 6 spots available there if anyone wants to hop in, and that's going to be the Superflex Best Ball. So, like I said, only 600 entries, so chances of winning are pretty good. And then they got the main event in there too, or it's the World Championship, and there's different tier breaks and packages, but you can win a Dominator. That one's awesome. So you can do $10,000 to first place if you dominate your league. So best record, most points, you can win 10 grand.
Oh, I see. Like the best team that finishes first in their division wins that. Is what you're saying.
So just like the main event, right? If you won like the 1 seed, you win, what is it, like $2,500 or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
If you also had the best record, there's no playoffs, league's over. You get the Dominator, you get 10 grand, done, boom, set aside. You don't have to worry about that league until shootout. It's kind of cool.
Nice. Yes.
Where are they doing the live draft?
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
In Vegas, where do they do the live draft?
I think it's Hard Rock, but don't quote me on that.
Okay, cool.
Is there going to be a Muzio Vegas sighting this year?
There is going to be a Muzio Vegas sighting this year. Yes.
Nice.
So I got a lot of football this offseason. So I got the FSGA next month in June. I'll be in Detroit. And then I got the Expo in August, and then the drafts in Vegas.
Nice.
Awesome.
I've been planting the seed with the wife, Billy. I don't know if you have to do that, but I got to plant the seed ahead of time. You know what I mean?
Well, now it's great because I actually get paid for analyst pots.
Oh, well, there you go.
I'm going to work, right? Like
Dan's not paying me yet, so I'm not.
Still working on that.
It's like I got work. I'm going to work, right? No, it's you definitely, you got to make sure your family's set first and your children are set first and get everything situated. And then if everything's good, then you can get out. Right.
Yep. That's
for sure. Key. Got to put the time in before Vegas, the family time right before Vegas.
That's the key. I think it's great that you're working that platform. I think there's room right now for, we're all probably on multiple platforms playing best balls, redrafts, Dynasty. So I think keep improving all of them. Right.
Well, and football is just growing and growing and growing. Like you think, right when you think the market share is at its peak, you continue to see new players and new sites pop up every single day and year. And I think that I forget however many billion of dollar industry it is, but I think it's just going to continue to multiply, especially as sports gambling becomes more legal in states and DFS becomes more legal in states. And it just, continues to get looser and looser. I think we're going to see a lot more dollars kind of flood in this industry. And I think it's not necessarily in its infancy stage yet, or I should say not yet, but it's not still in its infancy stage, but it's still in its youth stage. And I think it's going to continue to develop and grow, and it's only going to continue to do so.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, totally agree on that.
I just took Romeo Dubes at the 307.
307?
Yeah,
That's a
rookie
steal.
Yeah. Then you got one more pick, and then there's only 2 more picks, and then me and JD are up finally.
Nice. Wow. I didn't think we were gonna pick in that thing this week.
Shout out to Biplop Mandel the entire first round, and he also has things going on this weekend. So Bip has been on like a tear. There's no very business like. He'll send out a couple of trade offers. Nothing good. He makes the pick. Doesn't stretch it out. It's been one of the quickest moving drafts you could ask for.
That is impressive because I saw that, how many picks he had in the first round. The fact that he's got, real shit going on, that's impressive.
Yeah, he has 7 picks in the first round of this draft.
Yeah.
All right, boys. I'm going to get the kids down.
All right, Billy.
Sounds
Billy,
good.
Appreciate you, man, with you. Bye-bye.
Take it easy, bud.